Hi guys, today I'm going to demo part of using Lightroom Mobile to edit your photos. I'm going to break these videos up into pieces because Lightroom Mobile can do a lot with your photos. So I'm just going to show you some basics, and then I'll record some more a little bit later so you can do it chunk by chunk. Okay, so first you need a photo to edit. So your options are, for right now, you can take photos with your phone. Some of you have great cameras on your phone, and that's fine. If you are worried about the quality, you can buy a reader for your specific phone. So if you have an iPhone 8, for example, you can look up what card reader you could use as a plugin. That way you can take photos on the digital SLR or mirrorless if you have a mirrorless, and plug that card in directly to your phone, and then you can edit with your phone. It's really cool. Unfortunately, I don't have any of those, but if you have some cash to spend, you can buy a generic version for I think around $15, $20 for most phones, and you can buy them on Amazon or Best Buy, places like that. Okay, so for today, I'm going to take a photo on my camera phone. So I'm going to go to my camera phone. The quality on my camera phone is not that great, to be very honest with you. I also turned off all the lights in my house because the lights are really yellow. So I want to just take a picture of my cat here. Rhiannon! Rhiannon! You guys probably know this already, but backlight is not great with iPhones. Hi! So I'm going to take the best photo I possibly can with this phone. Okay, that's good enough for the demo at least. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the Lightroom mobile app. If you haven't downloaded it, please do that. It's free. There's a paid version if you have a subscription, but you can also just use the free version for now. There's a lot of things you can do. Okay, so it's going to look like that. Now, this is a photo I was already working on, so let me get you back to the point where it would look like when you first log in. Okay, so I'm going to log out. Okay, so if you're new to Lightroom Mobile and you don't have an Adobe account, you can just continue with Google. If you have a paid subscription already for Lightroom, Photoshop, programs like that, then continue with Adobe because you can log in and you'll have all of the paid features. So I'm going to go with the free version so everybody can see that. Continue with Google. Okay, so it's asking me to sign in. I'm going to choose this account. Okay, and the first time it's probably going to ask you to enter your password, so you can go ahead and do that. For you guys, if you haven't used it before, it's going to come up with all photos. So your all photos will be blank if you haven't used it. I've used this to edit before, so that's why I have photos already there. Okay, so what you can do at the bottom right corner, there's a camera button. That's if you want to take a picture and directly put it into the app. But then there's also the add feature. So if you click on the add feature, you can choose where you're going to add the photos from. I'm going to do it from my camera roll. Okay, and then I'm going to click that photo that I want to try to edit. See which one is better. I'll just do this one. Okay, so now once I've selected that photo, at the bottom, there are all your editing options. The ones that have the little blue plus are the paid features. So I'm not going to demo the paid features just because not all of us will have that available. But let me just tell you what they are real quick. Selective is selective editing. You can edit a specific part of a photo. Healing is a brush that will heal things like pimples, wrinkles, if there's some dirt on the ground that you wanted to get rid of, little small things, you can do that with healing. It's really cool. And then over on the right, the geometry will allow you to shift a photo so it's skinnier on the left or skinnier on the top. It fixes some perspective issues. So those are the ones that are paid. Okay, for right now, I'm going to go through two. Actually, I'll go up to light. Okay, so the first one, crop. Okay, so it's going to put a cropping frame on it, right? At the top left, if you need to turn it so your orientation is vertical or horizontal, you can do that. If you want the proportion of the photo to stay the same, just leave that symbol that says locked. There's also different aspect ratios, so that's the proportion. It's going to default to whatever your camera does, but let's say you wanted to do like square, you could choose square. And then you can use your fingers to drag in how big or small that square frame is going to be. Okay, so I'll just roll with square. Okay, if you have any straightening issues, there's a button for straighten. Okay, and if you do something you don't like, there's the top right, there's like a back arrow button. If you click that, it'll undo what you did. So I'm going to do it twice. Okay, then there's the rotates. And then there's the flip horizontal. Okay, which makes it like a mirror image. If you wanted to do a free crop, like let's say I wanted to get rid of that picture frame at the top, I don't care if it's exactly square, I can unclick lock and then I can force it to be whatever specific size I want instead. Okay, so just play around with that. Okay, once you're happy with your crop, at the bottom right you can click the check mark. Okay, next one, profiles. With the free version, there's not that many, but if you click on profiles, there is a monochrome option. So you can edit in color or monochrome. I'm gonna stick with color for now, just for the purposes of demoing, but you can edit in black and white, that's totally fine. When you're done with an option, like I did it in crop and I did it in profiles, there's the check mark on the bottom right. Okay, I'm going to try the auto feature. The auto feature is a feature that's going to let you edit the photo and you can see if it looks better. If you don't like it, there's always the back arrow. Okay, I'm not going to use it just because I want to show you how I can change the lighting with the light edit. Okay, so next one I'm going to go to light. Now this is a really big one, so this is why I'm gonna demo this and then I'll pause so you guys can try out this stuff and then I'll record another video for color. Okay, so there's several options for editing the lighting. The first most basic one is the exposure. You can see I can make the photo lighter or darker. Sorry, my text messages, I forgot to turn the notifications off. So I can brighten up the photo that way, or I can darken if it looks too bright. Okay, the next slider I have is contrast. So I can increase contrast or decrease it. In this case, I want to increase it for this photo because it was backlit, so. Okay, highlights. That's the bright part of my photo. So let's say I want those highlights darker. I can bring highlights down, or if I want the highlights brighter, I can bring them up. Okay, next one is shadows. So those are the dark parts of the photo. I can darken my shadows or I can brighten my shadows. I'm going to brighten them just a little bit here. Okay, next two sliders are whites and blacks. So your whites is the brightest highlight. So it's similar to highlights, but it's just very more specific. So I can darken those whites or I can brighten those whites. Okay, and then blacks. Same thing is similar. It's my darkest shadow, so I can darken my blacks or I can brighten my blacks. I'm gonna darken my blacks a little bit because I want part of the cat in the front to be a darker. Okay, now initially it looks like that's all the sliders there, but there's one more which is really, really, really key. It's curve. Okay, so see that curve at the top right? If you click that, there's a few options for curve. Okay, so the one that looks like a color wheel, that means you're editing the image overall. The red one means you're editing the red parts of the photo. The green one means you're editing the green parts of the photo. The blue means you're editing the blue parts of the photo. So remember back to that reading assignment, RGB, red, green, blue. Okay, so I don't really have those specific colors in my photo. What I'm just gonna do is all over. Okay, so the color wheel looking one. What I can do is take this line that's in the middle and I can move it up or down on the graph to change both the brightness and contrast of specific areas. So if I go to the very bottom left corner, that's my shadows, my darks, my shadows, my blacks. So if I bring that up, you can see those parts get brighter. The contrast also changes in that area. If I go to the top right, those are my highlights. If I bring it down, they're gonna get darker. Now, if I go somewhere in the middle, See, it's my like overall mid-tones. And you can see that's actually doing something interesting to my photo. So I'd suggest, see how I'm changing little parts of it? I would suggest you play with curves because it's one of the more advanced things that you have specifically in Lightroom, but you don't have it on like your camera phone edit generally. So to give you more control over your photos. Okay, so last thing, this thing on the right, I don't know how to describe it. It's like a circle with a wavy line through it. It gives you these 3 sliders. This is called a tone curve. It's not labeled, but that's what it's called. So you see the black slider, the middle slider is the mid-tone slider, and then the white slider is highlights. So I can also move those over, and that'll change my edit as well. Okay, so that's just a more advanced option if you want to play around with it even more. Okay, and then if you're done with this edit, you can hit the done. And then you can always like go back if you're like, oh, I think my highlights are too bright now. I can, change that. Or if I want to add even more contrast, and then I want to brighten my shadows more. So you can continue to play with it. Okay, so at the top right, there's the check mark. I'm going to continue to edit this photo later, but that check mark basically just added it to that panel where it says all photos. I can still go back and edit any of these photos that I want. Until I export this photo out of my Lightroom Mobile, it's still just in Lightroom Mobile. It's not going to be like in my regular camera. So just be aware of that. I'm going to teach that in a later lesson. Okay. That's it for this one. I'll post this and then I'll continue with another lesson maybe tomorrow.